What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Purple and Gold podcast. And today we have another team mock draft video. You guys already know who the team is, but I'm spinning because I don't know. We already did the Atlanta Falcons, so we're going to keep spinning that wheel. And we already did the Green Bay Packers. Holy cow, I'm going to just choose this on my own pretty soon. This is a pretty funny way to start the video. They really want to give me the Green Bay Packers again, don't they? They're trying to piss me off. They can see the background, I think. Alrighty, this is a new team. So the New York Football Giants, and I think that they are trending in the right direction because they had a good head coach signing in Brian Dable as a new head coach, and I believe it's Schoen, who is, I think, a former front office member of the Buffalo Bills as well. So yeah, they're getting two guys from a very established franchise right now. They know what they're doing up there in Buffalo. Actually, I don't know why I'm saying up there because they're in the same state. So they're actually not too far apart from each other. All right. Now, guys, I'm serious. I don't know if it's in the conversation, but I might take a quarterback in this mock draft because I feel like this team is just wasting time with Daniel Jones under center. And I don't feel like it was a good pick when they took him. Eh, I never really believed in Daniel Jones. Yeah. Anyway, Saquon Barkley, he has failed to stay healthy the past few years. He is definitely the biggest name on this team, but they have got to find a way to keep him healthy. Possibly bring in another running back. I mean, seriously, that actually might be beneficial for him, just so that he can have some fresh legs as big as his quads already are. Kenny Galladay looks like a huge waste of money if he continues to play the way that he does. So I don't know if they're gonna try and restructure his contract or anything like that. But the dude is definitely talented. He just needs to put it together again. I mean, if you can succeed in Detroit, you can definitely succeed in a Brian Dable led New York Giants football team. Maybe Daniel Jones is holding him back. And I know a lot of the time last year was spent with Mike Glennon. But we'll have to see. I mean, when you're making $72 million, I think people expect a little more from you. But the other guys, Shepard, Slayton, they've been all right. Kadarius Toney was a first round pick last year, so he's definitely going to stick around for a little bit, and he has to be implemented into the plans. Um, Evan Ingram, again, this is a guy with a lot of potential, and he just hasn't really lived up to that potential. So definitely a mismatch when he's on the field because of his speed, but again, has to put all of it together. Now, the offensive line has just been an issue. And now Andrew Thomas didn't play too bad this past season, but you look at the inside, Skura, Gates, Hernandez, each one of those guys can be replaced and should be replaced. I am assuming that they're either going to address this some way in the offseason, whether it's via free agency or the draft. We'll see how this mock draft goes for us. And then Nate Solder there at right tackle. Now, actually here, I'm curious about this. Nate Solder, PFF. Now, PFF is usually what I do to try and make a judgment on these offensive linemen. Okay, so that's not a very good sign. 6 sacks allowed, 6 penalties. So the guy is getting beat. And I also want to see what Nate Solder's contract is. I know he got paid, that's why, during that free agency period. Nate Solder's contract. Where should I look? Should I look here? Nate Solder, 4 million. Nah, that doesn't sound right. Is his current deal $4 million? No way. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was. Is that wait? You know what? I don't really know what I'm looking at, but if it is $4 million for him to stay on the team, that's actually not bad. But again, I don't think they're planning on having him start. Okay. Anyway, we have to finish up the rest of the defense. If you're a Giants fan, you probably know what's going on with him and what his contract looks like. Bottom line for me is I don't want Nate Solder at tackle anymore. Dexter Lawrence, first round pick. Leonard Williams was a former first round pick of the other New York team, the Jets, and Austin Johnson. I'll keep it 100% real with you guys. Don't know who that is. So if we could bring in a defensive tackle, like a big nose tackle, maybe we'll think about it. But we have two guys in Lawrence and Williams that are really good already, so I don't think we have to worry about that position too much. Um, Lorenzo Carter, I think he could be replaced. Quincy Roche is a guy who I think give him a few more years and maybe he might break out. We'll have to just wait and see, right? Tate Crowder, former seventh round pick, and then Blake Martinez. I think that's a guy who also might be leaving the team. So the whole linebacking group, or the whole linebacker group as a whole, isn't really that flashy. Azeez Ojulari had a pretty decent rookie season, so I like what they have in him, the former Georgia product. And then James Bradbury has been a very underrated cornerback for the past few years, so I like him as a number one corner. Dory Jackson is crap. And then I know Darnay Holmes gets quite a few snaps, but cornerback, again, another position of need. And then Xavier McKinney and Logan Ryan. And then you have Jabril Peppers and Julian Love. That position has a ton of depth. So we're not even going to worry about safety, even if Kyle Hamilton is there. No, we're not touching the position. There's a lot of talent there. So again, working with a 4-13 team, most likely we're going to just take the best player available. And again, I've been getting a lot of, critiques and criticism, and I appreciate that in the comment section. But right now, again, we don't know what's gonna happen in free agency. We don't know who's leaving and who's staying. So right now, we're just gonna base it off of what the roster looks like right now. I'm not going to assume um, what things are gonna happen because those will be videos for the future in the off season. Okay, here we go. So it goes Evan Neal, Kyle Hamilton, Aiden Hutchinson, and Ikem Ekwonu. Okay. If Kayvon Thibodeau is here, I don't think we can pass up on him. But then again, I do also want a guy like Charles Cross. I really love Charles Cross. Now, who do I like more? I don't know. Still haven't made a big board. Because if we take Charles Cross, right, we'll have to transition him from left tackle to right tackle because Andrew Thomas is already our left tackle. But if we bring in Thibodeau, however you want to pronounce it at this point, I mean, he's just going to purely just do what he does best. Yeah, we're going to take Kayvon Thibodeau. And, all right, so Charles Cross goes right after. I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen. Okay. Huh. I'm going to look at the other tackles here. Now, Trevor Penning is a guy, but I don't want to reach. That is a guy who, I think if he has a pretty good combine, I think he might go in the first round. There are a lot of good players here. Obviously, because we're still drafting in the top 10. Do I want to take a corner in the top 10? Wow, these guys are so talented. Now, I know some of you guys may be like, Derek Stingley. Yes, the dude is talented, but he can't stay on the field. And I don't want to use the 7th overall pick on a guy who I don't know if he'll even be playing a full season for me, considering that there are 17 games at least, each season. And he's only played 9 in the last 2. So it's certainly concerning for me. Alright, so honestly, I'm going to be controversial. Maybe some of you guys don't think I'm controversial by doing this. I'm going to take a quarterback. And I think Dable is going to work with he's going to want to work with a guy who has a similar skill set to Josh Allen. I mean, who wouldn't want to? And I think Matt Corral is a pretty good replica of that. Now, doesn't have the size like Josh Allen does, but he has a rocket arm just like he does, and he has that mobility to him. Now, so does Malik Willis, so does Kenny Pickett. Um, but I think that Corral also has that leadership skill to his game. I know not necessarily his game, but just the leadership factor that you need as a quarterback. I think that's one of the things that's most admirable about him as a prospect. I mean, when it comes down to it, right? I mean, you look at a team like the Raiders, right? You draft bad character players and they'll never be on the field for you. I'm not saying that the other guys are bad character players, but I think that this is the best character in Matt Corral. Um, but I think there are some similarities here between Corral and Allen that I think Dable would want to work with here. So I'm going to take Matt Corral here with the 7th overall pick. I haven't seen a quarterback mocked um, to the Giants, really at all. I don't think it should be taken out of the conversation. Now, maybe they've already said, okay, we're dedicated um, to Daniel Jones, and I'm just not aware of it. But I'm not. So this is my mock draft. I'm doing whatever I want. All right. We're here at pick 36 here in the second round. So those are I think those are two huge pieces to work with here. Oh, now Zion Johnson is here. Again, we wanted to address the offensive line. And I did make it clear that in my first mock draft video that I didn't think that the Giants were going to spend a ton of money in the offensive line because I thought Nate Solder already had a huge contract. So I just thinking, why would they want to put even more money, especially because this year's draft class has a ton of offensive linemen. Um, but if Nate Solder's getting paid $4 million, like I said, I don't really mind that. um, okay, speaking of the offensive line, though, we're gonna take Zion Johnson. I have him rated as my third, I believe. I believe he's my third or fourth. I want to take a look. Now, when I do the offensive lineman rankings, I rank them as a whole. Tackles, guards, everything. Yes, the positions are totally different, but I like to just grade them as a whole. Zion Johnson, I have him as my fifth ranked um, offensive lineman in this draft class, and I have him as a first round talent. I really like this guy. This guy is a stone wall. He is hard to move. I mean, and he's very aggressive at the second level. I mean, he is willing to hit anyone, and you gotta have that just like aggressive factor to you on the offensive line. I mean, seriously, no one wants to get run over by a guy who's 300 plus pounds. And if you have Zion Johnson running at you, I mean, that is a guy that you're going to be afraid of. So I really like Zion Johnson. I think he's going to be a phenomenal guard in this league. If you ever watch Boston College, look at the left guard position. That guy is definitely going to be fun to work with for any offensive line coach and any running back and any quarterback, any team that he goes to in the NFL. I really like the way that this draft is going so far. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeaux already is a clear-cut top 10 pick. Matt Corral, I think, has a ton of upside. And look, if you have Daniel Jones still on the roster, you don't even have to play him immediately. That's the best part. You can have him sit for a year or, maybe even just a few weeks. Maybe he wins the quarterback battle against Daniel Jones. But I think that this guy, his ceiling is way higher than Daniel Jones's will ever be. No disrespect to Daniel Jones, but I just don't think he has it at this point. All right, so we're here drafting early in round 3. What do I want to do here? Okay, we did talk about the possibility of bringing in another running back just to keep Saquon Barkley fresh. Um, Personally, I'm not really a huge what is his name? Devontae Booker fan. I was about to say Devin Booker, but I was like, that's not right. That's the basketball player. Um, Look, we're gonna take Brees Hall here, and I think that this is just huge value in the third round. I don't know if Brees Hall actually falls into the third round. I highly doubt it. I think he's gonna be a second round pick, but if by any chance he does fall into our lap, I mean, look, like I said, this is a team that has a lot of needs, and at this point, you just got to take the best players available. And if Brees Hall is there, why not? Now, speaking of best player available, right now, the Draft Network has Damone Clark, linebacker at LSU, um, right there as the best player available, and I think this would make a ton of sense. I mean, we already saw the fact that this linebacker group is just not very strong. Martinez, Crowder, McKinney, Ragland. It's not really a good group. Oh my God, is that Jalen Smith? Is that Cowboys Jalen Smith? I remember when he got cut, I was like, wow, kind of surprising. But then, he just wasn't really as good as he seemed to be. Okay. Hmm. Ooh. Could we get flashy here and take like Wan'Dale Robinson out of Kentucky? Maybe. I want to look at my position rankings again. I want to make sure that I'm getting the Giants a good player here. I do have Damone Clark as the number 4 linebacker in this year's draft. Hmm. Yeah. I think we're going to take Damone Clark here. And I believe that that is our last pick. So we had 2 first-round picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. Didn't realize that the Giants had that many picks within the first 3 rounds. This was definitely a fun mock draft to do. It's always fun when you're, drafting high and you can take some pretty damn good players. But looking at this draft, I mean, I would be pretty damn excited if I was a Giants fan, and this is how the picks turned out to be. I mean, we already know that Kayvon Thibodeau is an absolute game wrecker for Oregon. I think the only reason why he is not in the debate of being the first edge rusher taken is just because, I mean, obviously Hutchinson was more productive, and part of that was because Thibodeau couldn't stay on the field all the time. So that's definitely a concern, but you just look at the build. He is perfect for an NFL edge rusher, and his production when he was on the field was phenomenal. Wasn't as injury prone as like Derek Stingley has been these past few years, and that's why it's not as much of a concern. But like I said, just an absolute beast, a game wrecker, and he knows how to use his size to his advantage, has very good technique. So I like Kayvon Thibodeau. Again, I already made it clear when we took Corral that he was my favorite quarterback. He just has that leadership aspect to his game, which I think elevates any football team. The quarterback needs to be the leader of the team. And like I said, just pure talent in arm strength and speed, mobility, accuracy. I like Matt Corral. Zion Johnson, I just think is a pillar, really, to have on that offensive line. And for a team who needs pretty much every position at the offensive line, um, bring in anybody. And why not Zion Johnson? Like I said, I think this is going to be a guy that's going to be, you know, hard to deal with when he reaches the NFL level. Brees Hall, highly productive running back at Iowa State. Obviously, running backs are losing their value in the league just because, the trend is don't pay running backs or you'll never win the Super Bowl. And that has, it's a stat that is proven to be true. But I think, this team needs to build around a guy like Saquon Barkley right now because that's really all they have to work with at this point. But bringing a guy like Brees Hall to keep Saquon fresh, and I think it's going to be beneficial for both of those guys and the offense and the team as a whole. And then Damone Clark was my number 4 linebacker coming into this year's draft at LSU. Again, there is a huge weakness in the middle part of the field with Martinez um, starting there. So I think, add a guy like Damone Clark, and I don't think you expect him to be highly productive and plug in and play immediately. But I think this is a guy with, upside, and he definitely has the tools to work with in the middle round. So I wouldn't mind having him in the third round for the Giants. But overall, I really like this draft. I hope you Giants fans do as well. But if you guys enjoyed this mock draft, consider subscribing. We will have future mock drafts for sure, and we're gonna keep this up all off season. So yeah, again, if you guys like what you see, hit the like button, subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace.